Hi, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, in this lecture, actually, the main objective is as you are looking at reactive chemical absorption. Up to here, if you remember, most of the system which we discussed, they involve only physical absorption. We didn't bring in the chemical reaction. So, those system I can say are a bit simple as compared to this when you have to introduce the chemical reactions as well. So, here in this lecture we will look at first of all we will start with the concentrated solution system design. Again, if you recall, most of the time when we were making or we were deriving the equation or we were just considering the equation, there was one uh, a condition that the system is dilute. So when system is dilute, then we used to consider that flow rate of the liquid without solute as well as flow rate of the gas without solute. Solute is that component which you want to absorb from gas to the liquid. So we said that this flow rate of the liquid, which was represented with the capital L, and then flow rate of the gases that was represented either with V or capital G. So that remains constant. And that was related to this condition that if system is dilute means there is very small amount of any gas or that solute which you want to absorb from gas to the liquid, so that will be absorbed and overall flow rate of the gas didn't change, as well as there will be no much effect on the flow rate of the liquid. But here I'll tell you, if your system is not dilute, then how you have to proceed. Then there is like already, although it was discussed I think two times in various lecture briefly, that based on various points how you have to select either trait tower or the fact tower. So I will go into more detail today because I have observed few things from yesterday's presentation. So it is important to just repeat it, as well as because we have to just summarize this, that later when you use it in your real life, then how you are going to use. So the last part then is related to briefly about the system when there are chemical reactions are also involved. So let's start with this concentrated solution. Before I just talk about this concentrated solution, as I said that already when you study dilute system, so if you recall from the start of the chapter, when we started with the calculation of number of trays by using McCabe-Thiele method, or later when we calculated some of flow rate, or maybe the equation to draw these equilibrium and operating line in case of PEG tower. At both times we use straight lines. So when there were straight line, what does that mean? That is the indication that this system is dilute. And dilute also, as already I explained in the last point, that we considered that the liquid flow rate and the gas flow rate remains constant throughout the system whenever something is flowing inside the column and you are absorbing anything in the liquid from the gas. When it is dilute, mean amount which you want to absorb is very small. Let's say that is in ppms, so that is dilute system, ppm, parts per million. So in those cases anything is transferred from gas to the liquid, or mean when it is added to the liquid, there is no much effect on the flow rate of the liquid and gas. So then we consider that anything will leave from here will have same amount as it has a same flow rate, not amount, same flow rate as it was at the bottom. And for the liquid it was considered same. You can recall, definitely you have we have repeated it many times. So all those systems were dilute system, and the equation derived were for those dilute system. But suppose now you have a concentrated solution. Concentrated solution, let me give you example. For example, you want to remove ammonia from airstream, and the ammonia is, let's say, 10% of the mean vapor stream. So 10%, whatever the amount is. For example, flow rate is only 100 kg per hour, so out of that, that is like 10 kg, or if it is in kg mole, 100 kg mole per hour. So the gas is 10 kg per mole, 10% of overall gas stream. So these are the systems which are not dilute. As I said that already, dilute system are those which are usually less than 1%. They are in ppm most of the time. So in such system, maybe you will come across, you are designing some equipment and you have a now concentrated solution. Mean the amount of any species which you want to remove is, let's say, just greater than 1%, and it can be higher, 20, 30, 25, 40%. So in those cases, either the equations which we have already talked about are valid or not. So what do you think? Can anyone answer this? So, okay, let me just rephrase it for you. Suppose I say that when something is in large amount in the gaseous stream, and when it is transferred from this gaseous stream towards the liquid stream in a large amount, so will there be any change in the vapor flow rate just moving from bottom of the tower to the top of the tower?
Yes, sir, significant change.
Yes, good. So when there is a significant change, if you just go back to the start of the chapter and go through the lectures, you will see that many times we applied a lot of balance to mean just formulate number of equations, and then we considered in those equations that uh, flow rate remains constant. So flow rate, suppose entering at the bottom of the column is equal to at the top of the column. So it means that when you are dealing with the concentrated system, anything which is transferred from this gas to the liquid, so when you will keep on moving towards the top of the tower, amount of the gas or flow rate of this gaseous stream will decrease, will become less. The reason is because some of the components are transferred to the liquid, while the amount of the liquid will keep on increasing because it has absorbed that component. So due to this reason, the equation which were earlier discussed will not be valid. So you have to look for some more information, some more equation. So here is like for high concentration of solute which you want to absorb, the operating lines are curved. When you will draw the lines, in this case, they will not be the straight line as you have seen earlier in those example or the question which were discussed. So here when they are not straight line, actually this is indication of the system that it is not like dilute system, it is some concentrated system. So due to this reason, when you are later going to calculate like height of the mean this pack tower and other transfer unit, number of transfer unit or height of transfer unit, and all other calculation which you have done so far, they will not be correct for these system. There will be flaws in the calculation. So if you come across any such system, later on all this discussion is about use of these system when you are dealing with something which is like real world problem, like you are designing any final year inside this project like any equipment, or you are dealing in the industry with some system, then don't use these equations which are discussed so far, which are part of this syllabus. But next thing with this I'm talking about, this is just for your use later on. This is not like will not be evaluated in this course, but just for your information that if you are dealing with some system and that is like concentrated, then just you can read some part from the section 6.9 Cedar and Hanley third edition. Our textbook which we were following is the fourth edition. In fourth edition the chapter ends at 6.8, that is the last like section, but inside maybe 6.9 is related to chemical reactions in this, but in other book this third edition, then 6.9 is related to this system, and he has talked about and modified the equations which were already discussed related to the dilute system. You can, when you have to use those for concentrated system, the equations are provided there. Some of those, while major discussion is in the chapter 10 of either in like you can go with the third edition or fourth edition. In both of these, in chapter 10 there are the method to design the equipment when you are dealing with the concentrated solution. As well, just for your information, there is a book of Coulson and Richardson's Chemical Engineering, Volume 2, that is related to particle technology and separation process. So that is also one of our handbook initially when, like this, like reference book. So in that book, I think there is a chapter 13 that is related to chapter 12, 13, yes, or 12 maybe. So that is related to the absorption, and in that book, he has discussed number of correlation when your conditions are like related to this concentrated solution, then how you have to calculate these parameter and design the system. The reason I'm telling this because yesterday some people were just answering that why you use this equation when it is not valid for your system. So they were answering like सर यही दो मेथड ही हैं, यही दो हमने पढ़े हैं. That's the classroom stuff, and that is limited because in one semester you have to cover a lot of things, so all methods cannot be covered, everything cannot be covered here. But later on, being an engineer, and now when you are going to graduate, you should be able to read the literature, and you should be able to find the solution for your system which are like accurate, or which you can use it for designing any equipment as per your needs. So hopefully it is clear to you. If you have any question here, let me know. Right. So the next point is also in continuation of that discussion from the yesterday's presentation, that for example, okay, if I ask you, you have to design an absorber. So on which basis you are gonna select either it should be PEC tower or tray tower? Okay, as per your knowledge which you have up to now, can you tell me?
सर फ्लूइड को लेके क्रोसिव मटेरियल हम लोग पैक्ड को प्रेफर करते हैं.
कॉस्ट.
ओके जवाद, आप जवाद ही बोल रहे थे ना पहले.
यस सर.
Okay, why you just stopped on corrosion? Why not other factors? But it's okay. Just I'm asking this question because I have seen yesterday, I think 3 absorber design, and everyone was using packing, and the only reason because they were absorbing H2S, and they said H2S is corrosive, and due to this we are gonna use this PEC tower. Nothing else. No other criteria. So that's not only criteria. If you remember, guys, we have discussed the number of parameters up to now, and today I'm gonna introduce few more parameters here to tell you that corrosion is not the only reason. And at that time as well, I told you that if you have to use the tray tower for the corrosive system, you can still use, not a big issue, but the problem will be the cost of equipment will increase. But okay, let's talk about few things else. If you remember, was there any other parameter? Someone said cost. Yes, cost is at the end. I will conclude with the cost, but is there any other criteria except corrosion?
Pressure drop.
Okay, yes, pressure drop was one of the reason. Good. Any other reason?
So the level of liquid holdup we want in our system. In case of tray towers, we want a liquid holdup, whereas in case of PEC towers, we do not. So it's on the flow rates of liquid, I guess.
Yes, okay, good, Abdurrahman. Yes, it is good point, like liquid hold up. So what do you think generally, maybe Abdurrahman or anyone can answer that, what do you think as per the discussion up to now? Already you have studied a lot of things. So what do you think, in which case the mass transfer or this separation will be better, either in the PEC tower or tray towers?
So in tray towers, I guess, because the liquid holdup would be more, so intimate contact chances are more.
Yes, exactly. You are right. So this is the reason, because inside the PEC tower, you see that liquid keep on flowing and the gas, but in trays there is a liquid holdup. Liquid stays on the trays. When vapor come in contact, the contact is better as compared to the PEC system, in which liquid keep on flowing and the gas vapor definitely will be coming in contact, but contact is less as compared to the system which are like tray tower. So for your information, let me tell you, yesterday one of the teacher indicated that when you will, he was telling to the student who said that we have selected H2S gas removal, and due to this we are going with packing, and then he told them that if you will go to the industry, you will see that for all H2S removal, most of the time you will have pack, not pack tower, tray towers. So there are few other parameters. Corrosion is not only parameter. So let's look at the few things. Please just consider each and everything. And before I just talk about this, one thing more. Yes, in last week I didn't upload the lecture slides uh, due to some reason. I was thinking that people should at least go through the lecture and read the book. And people were asking me just like, why you didn't upload the lectures, or kindly upload the lecture. And from the day one I said that we are going to follow this textbook. Major content is from your textbook. Few more things I bring from some other sources just to clarify the thing, but major chunk is from your textbook. So you should have, guys, please have this habit of reading the book. And you are going to be engineer, so this is the syllabus which I am teaching, but you should also explore few other dimensions. You should also read the things related to these, as I have provided you 2-3 textbooks just for your knowledge, because it was terrible to look at things yesterday. So okay, just let's see this. So selection among plate and tray tower design, like as I asked this question, that either are there any parameter, and you said corrosion, yes, corrosion, and few other like pressure drop and liquid hold up. So for example, channeling, in which of these equipment channeling can occur?
Sir, in packed towers, because
In
there
packed
would be
tower.
some zones.
Yes, good. So in packed tower, when there is a channeling, so what do you think? Will it affect the mass transfer or not?
Yes, sir, it will affect the mass transfer. We will have a lesser mass transfer in case of
Yes,
channeling.
good. Uh,
Decrease one.
that's the reason, like your efficiency of the equipment will decrease in those cases when there is a channeling. When you are going with the like selection of the equipment, okay, there is only corrosion and I'm gonna use this equipment, but that will be less efficient because it forms channel. And due to this reason, we discussed that whenever its height is greater than 6 meter, you have to use redistributor of the liquid, because you can't avoid the channeling. And when there is a channeling, it even starts from the top. When liquid starts going down, it starts, but it becomes severe as you keep on going down. So due to this reason, you need a lot of redistributors. So from this you can get the idea that this is again not that efficient. For example, if you have to provide the heating or cooling inside the tower, the equipment which we talked about till now, most of the time, as I said, they are physical and there are no reaction, and most of the time temperature and pressure remains constant throughout the tower. Not pressure, definitely there is some pressure drop, but temperature mostly remains almost constant. But when you will be dealing with the reactive system, and in those systems there is like maybe exothermic reaction, so some heat is liberated, or maybe you have to add the heat. So what do you think, in which of, like either tray tower or plate tower, if we have to make some arrangement for heating or cooling, so in which of these it will be easy, just as per your like understanding?
Okay.
Yes,
Sir,
definitely
I guess
tray.
tray tower is more flexible.
Yes, exactly. Good, because inside the tray towers, maybe you can put like tube bundles between the trays. So when vapor are coming in contact and just moving from one tray to the other, they can contact those tube, and maybe you can provide the heat or you can cool them. So it is quite easy in those cases as compared to the packed tower design. So this is one of the parameters which you have to keep in mind when you are designing. Then there is a presence of solid particle. For example, if you are dealing with some flue gases and you have to remove some of the gas, but it also contains some solid particle. So what is your main take about this, that when there are solid particle, definitely particle will stick on the surface of either trays or the packing, so which will be easy to clean in your opinion?
Trade over.
Any other answer? Yes, he is right. tray tower are more easy to clean, because just think about it. Suppose you have a packing and you want to clean it. What you have to do, you have to take all the packing out of the column, and packing is not like, if you remember, packings are in millimeters. They are like if you just go for the random packing, their sizes are in millimeters and like that. So in that case, if you have to clean those small structure, it is more difficult. There, if particle are just inside those, and the cleaning is not that easy. But in case of the trays can be easily cleaned as compared to that system. But yes, for trays, there was one limitation we studied, that for tray tower design, I think the diameter of the tower should be greater than 2 feet. Then in all those cases, trays are okay to go with, and people can go inside the column and can clean the tower very easily. So this is another factor which should be kept in mind. Suppose if still you have like gas is, for example, corrosive, but it also contains the particles. So in that case, you will need a lot of cleaning. So just to avoid the blockage of, for example, some pores inside the, if they are tray towers, but if these are packing, there will be blockage inside the packing. So in order to clean that, you have to go for cleaning. So it should be like the system which is tray tower is more easy. Liquid hold up, already Abdurrahman told you that it is way better and easy in the tray tower, so you can hold it. By the way, there is some mistake here. I wrote selection among plate and tray tower, so it is, sorry guys, packed and tray tower. So just because we are just comparing packed and tray, so this is packed. Okay, and then there is tower efficiency. Tower efficiency is better in case of tray tower, because liquid, due to this huge liquid hold up and better contact of liquid and vapors with each other. So effect of temperature changes. When temperature is changing inside the tower, so its effect is less on the trays, because they are metallic and usually you have this solid structure. But in case of the other, for example, you are using somewhere the plastic packing, they are made of plastic, so temperature affect them differently and more as compared to in those cases we have to use either then ceramic, so or you have to avoid, I mean, in case of packing, so temperature effect is more on the packing material as compared to the trays. So then the need of minimum liquid flow rate, if you remember, I think it was the second last lecture in which we discussed this, that when you are dealing with the packed tower, always there is a need of minimum liquid flow rate inside the tower. And what was the reason for that, if you can recall? This point was discussed, I think, in last or second last lecture. The guys, the reason was, if you remember from where we started, somewhere that, sorry,
so that our equipment doesn't dry out, because
yes,
that
good.
wouldn't be like
Yeah,
a good thing.
Yes, inside the equipment, the surface of the packing should be wet so that liquid and vapor can contact. So if it will be dry, definitely there will be not mass transfer and gas will just escape from that path. So due to this reason, it was mentioned at that time that inside the pack tower, always some minimum liquid flow rate is necessary, and then we looked at some of the equations at that time. So these are, now you can see from here that these are number of parameters. Corrosion is not the only criteria to judge or to select the equipment. At the end of the day, you have to go through all of these. And let's just link it with one more point, and then I will just conclude it. And that point is about random versus structured packing. Now you remember this already. I think I will quickly just go through this, that random packing are cheaper as compared to the structured packing. But if just think about it, if you are using the random packing, definitely their efficiency is low, and in that case you will need more height of the random packing as compared to if you use some structured packing. And when you are increasing the height, definitely you have to put more packings and their cost is increasing. But at the same time, you have to build the equipment wall of the that column inside you are putting these, so that will also increase. With this you are increasing the amount of material used to build the equipment. So at the same time, on the other end, when you are using the large height of the packing, there will be increase in the channeling and you will need more redistributors. So like for example, students were selecting this random packing because they say okay, this is like cheaper as compared to the structured. So that is cheaper, but okay, this packing is cheaper, but what about the overall equipment? What about the operation? Later on, pressure drop in the random packing is more as compared to the structured packing. Mass transfer efficiency of this random packing is less as compared to the structured packing. So please do not consider only one point and just conclude the things. You should, being engineer, think about in different dimensions and then conclude the thing. So at the end of the day, definitely cost is the final point. So guys, here in this syllabus or whenever you are taking any course, here that there is a definitely limited time, like in terms of I'm talking about evaluation, like we have to conduct the exam and inside like 1 to 3 hours and that's it. So we can't give you like something open-ended that you should have number of solution for that, and due to this we fix number of things in those problems when you are solving. So but later on, please, when you are designing any equipment, don't solve like you are solving an example of the book. You fix each and everything and just conclude that because one example was solved in the similar way. No, just go for number of options, design the equipment, and then at the end of the day evaluate the cost of each of those. And in industry, when you are dealing with the design of the equipment, you are working as a design engineer. This is the procedure. You have to just select number of the parameter, you have to come up with the number of solution. For example, there are okay plate tray tower as well as pack tower, and inside the pack you selected with the random spectred, and then inside the tray tower you selected different type of the trays, different wear heights and so on. So you can go with many options, and at the end of the day, for each of those equipment you go for the cost. So definitely you go for the saving, but that cost estimation, I think you are already taking this economics course, so you will be you should have this information that there is a capital cost as well as the running cost or the operating cost. So at the end of the day we conclude based on the all cost. For example, if anyone is selecting random packing because he thinks this is cheaper, but at the end of the day when you are operating this column, that will be maybe expensive, or maybe its cost can be more than the structured packing column overall operating cost. So at the end of the day everything is concluded based on this, but you should come up with the number of options. So up to here I think the things are clear to you. So if you have any question, let me know. Clear? So kindly if someone is just going to design absorber at least inside their project next year, so they didn't tell that I selected this because of only one parameter. And better, if someone designed the absorber, he or she should design more than one equipment, and they should bring there that I have done like 3-4 months on all this part, and I have come up with this solution, and out of those I think this is the better due to these number of reasons. So whenever you are going for design calculation and you have to absorb one or more than more than one component, because there were a few things were discussed related to more than one component earlier in the start of the chapter. I think that was Kremser method for calculating number of trays. So but you are dealing with a pack tower and you wanna go for this. So most of the discussion which was done here, there is mostly one component is being absorbed, because if you will go to these problems. But as I already mentioned, there are a lot of books, they contain number of topics, and all topics like for absorption this semester is not dedicated only for the absorption, so I can't teach everything, although I have covered all the syllabus which was designated for you. But these are just for your information. Just look at other resources. Textbook is not only book in the world, there are other books, and if you are dealing with some other system which didn't fit inside the equation or not with the system discussed in this book, just try any other source please. So thank you up to here, and quickly I will just go through this system. Just will tell you again because this is not again major part of the syllabus, but if you have to deal with the chemical system, then how to deal with or where there is a change. So let me tell you, in physical absorption, as you already know, that there is no significant chemical reaction. So there is absorption based on like weak bonding forces. Already we discussed, like van der Waals forces, there are hydrogen bonding or dipole moments, and such kind of forces help you to go for the physical absorption. So common absorbents which we are mostly used to use are the water and the hydrocarbons. This was already studied somewhere as well. In such system, when you are dealing with the physical system, already you know that we need a stripper column or distillation column to recover the solute and bring back the absorbent inside the absorption column. All this was already discussed in detail. But about chemical system also, I think it appeared in one of the lecture already briefly, but for example, you are dealing with a solute and that is acid gas. So in those cases, it is more efficient to go with the chemical absorption, because when there is a reaction, we will also look at this. And already I told you that the absorption efficiency increases in those cases, because when reaction is taking place, you can easily absorb the things and convert it to something else, and then later on can recover it, or maybe if it is irreversible, you can't go with that. But acid gases which you normally will be dealing with, they include this CO2, H2S, SO2. This already we studied, but for example, there is HCl, HCN vapors are somewhere, and you want to absorb, so they come all under the acid gases. So just if you are using some absorbent which is like aqueous solution, already also this was discussed that NaOH and KOH can be used as an absorbent. Their solution, aqueous solution, their solution in the water, NaOH and KOH, they are used as the absorbent. So here definitely, as you can see, that NaOH, KOH are bases, and all above this question, the points, these gases are the acidic. So a reaction will take place between these if you provide the proper reaction conditions. So in those cases, you know that when acid and bases react, these are irreversible reactions. So they are as well fast and instantaneous. So it will help you to quickly absorb something from any gas stream. So will increase the efficiency of the mass transfer. So like, let's say if solute is CO2, the gas which you want to absorb from the gas stream. So like you are using NaOH, so you know that it will make a salt, and the water is produced. This is generally main reaction between the acid and bases. Already you know that they produce water and the salt. So most of the time in the being chemical engineer here, we deal with the gaseous system like natural gas production plants, and they contain a lot of CO2 and H2S. So those CO2 and H2S can be removed either by using these aqueous solution, or otherwise, if you remember, we also discussed about these, that amine solution are widely used, as well as glycol solution. So monoethylene amine, diethylene amine, and these diethylene glycol and triethylene glycol. Why these are used, although we can use the aqueous solution of the bases which was discussed in this last point, but here you know that this is irreversible reaction. So when salt is produced and water, and that's it. But in this case, when you are dealing with CO2 and H2S, and you want to use some solvent which can be recovered and can be reused, so these are the solvents which are commonly used in the industry. So because they react although with CO2 and H2S, but reaction is reversible. You can reverse this reaction and can recover those solvents and can bring it back. So in this case, when reaction are reversed, although these will be a bit slower reaction as compared to those reaction of acid and bases. So but here it is better to recover those solvent and can like reuse it. So here another point I want to tell you. For example, okay, you are dealing with somewhere, and you say, because we studied that MEA, DEA, they give like reversible reaction, and we can just recover the solvent and can bring it back. So due to this, I am only going to use it. No, this is not the answer. Like for this, you can up for others. For example, you should now evaluate two systems. If you want to remove CO2, for example, and you should go with the MEA, design the equipment and find the cost. Like when you are using MEA, definitely you have to recover this. You will need another equipment. So you have to install that equipment, and definitely when plants are installed, you usually evaluate the cost for like operation of 20-25 years. As well, you should use this NaOH and try to absorb the CO2. So also just design this system, because in this it is irreversible. Always you will need new aqueous solution of NaOH. So in those both of those systems, then you should compare which one is like more better in long term, like more useful in terms of the like this cost. So then select the equipment. So in this case, where the reaction are reversed downstream of the absorber in a subsequent operation, which is recovery of like acid gases, and then you have to recover it and bring it back. So either stripper as well as you can use the distillation column mostly used. So why these chemical reaction are better, already it was discussed somewhere, but when you are using chemical absorption instead of physical absorption, so it helps you to reduce the mass transfer resistance, because here when they are coming in contact, they are gonna react as fast as possible, and it will be helpful to increase the efficiency. So increasing the absorption capacity of the solvent used in the absorbent, because if you are dealing with the physical, those forces are weak. So if something is absorbed, that can be like desorbed when its condition are changed very little. But when there is a reaction, definitely to reverse it, if it is reversible reaction, you have to provide some harsh condition as compared to just for physical system. Like when they are in physical system, mostly you can just give small amount of heat and can recover the solvent. And in those cases, if there is a small change in the column temperature, maybe desorption will take place inside your absorber. So due to these reasons, these chemical system are better. So the next, like they when you will be selecting some absorbent that in case of chemical reaction, then it will be like highly selective toward the gas which you want to absorb. So with this, what will happen, you will be only most of the time absorbing that gas where with the component which you want to absorb, and other components are not absorbed, like you are not losing other components which were not supposed to be absorbed inside the system. So the most important example of this carbon capture or disposal of CO2, this is the now one biggest problem of the world due to like rising in the temperature of this earth as well, like due to these greenhouse gases. CO2 is one of those that is most causing the problem. So people are working on the capturing of carbon dioxide or its disposal, and this is where people are like looking for various solutions to capture CO2, for example, from coal power plants where you are burning a lot of coal and a lot of CO2 and produce and so on. So let's just consider here, this is just to give you the idea that why chemical systems are better and what will happen in chemical system, reversible, irreversible, which one is better and which one you have to use. But let's consider here quickly because finally you have to go for some of the equations. So one system we will consider here if there is a irreversible reaction taking place inside the PEC tower. So let's assume that one gas contain one component A which you want to react, or which you want to like, which is soluble in the water and can react with some of the species. So we consider here that except A, anything in the gas is not soluble inside the absorbent, and it will not gonna react with anything. So like in absorbent, we have like one component which is B. For example, if you are dealing with the aqueous solution of NaOH, so there will be water and NaOH. Out of those two components, NaOH is reactive, let's consider. So NaOH is going to react, for example, with CO2, let's say. So then this reaction is because irreversible. So overall, you can write this equation is like another requirement for these system when you are going to produce something and that is irreversible. Like that most of the time, if you react with this CO2 and NaOH or KOH, they are going to produce some salt plus water. So salt are soluble inside the ecosystem. Due to this, they will be carried away from the tower, they will not be like precipitated inside the tower. So this is another requirement when you are dealing with something and reaction take place. It should produce something which you can just dissolve in the system and can take it away from the system. So here we are going to look quickly at three systems, which includes are where there are the different profiles of A and B components inside the fluid film for three cases, and those cases are related to different rate of the reaction. For example, in this diagram in the caption, you can see absorption in the chemical reaction, and first is infinitely slow reaction. That reaction is infinitely slow. I mean, here the major, you can say that absorption is taking place due to physical, but there is very slow reaction also taking place. And the B case, I will just talk about quickly about this concentration profile. What does they indicate? In the B, you are saying that this is instantaneous reaction. It's mean whenever the gas component which you want to absorb, it will approach the liquid film, it will quickly react with that. And then there is a third mean case where there is a intermediate reaction rate. So overall, you can say that first and second are two extreme. In the first case, it is more or less no reaction or very slow reaction. In the B case, there is a fast reaction, and in the middle, we are in the light intermediate reaction rate, this C case. So when you look at this from the two film theory, you remember that there was a gas film, and then on the other side there is a liquid film. So as here we said that we have two components. A component is on the gaseous side. Let's say its partial pressure is PA, and on the liquid side there is a component B which can react with the component A, so its concentration is given. So if you look at the gaseous film, there is a bulk of the gas, and then there is a film where interface is taking place. Close to the interface, we already discussed this, that there is a film, and inside the film concentration of that species will keep on decreasing. The reason is that inside the film, some of this component is transferred to the liquid side, so its concentration will be decreasing due to this. Then due to this concentration gradient from the bulk, more gas, that solute molecule will be transferred to the film, and then this process keep on continuing. So inside the liquid film, because we said it is reacting, but reaction is very slow. So this component B, which is going to react with the A, if you just evaluate its concentration profile, you can see that this is a straight line. Straight line is that because this component reacts with the A, but in very small amount, because this reaction is very slow. So overall, you can see that this reaction is like its concentration remains more or less constant through this film as well as through the bulk of component B, because there is no much reaction, so it is not gonna consume. But for the A, which is just transferred, this component which was component A, which we wanna absorb towards the liquid. So if after the interface, when it is transferred to the liquid film, its concentration will also keep on decreasing inside the liquid film, and this we already also discussed at that time, that inside the film, this when it is transferred from gas to the liquid, at the interface its concentration is the maximum or highest, and when you keep on moving away from the interface, its concentration will be definitely low, and then you reach to the bulk. Inside the bulk, its concentration is negligible and remains constant, and due to this concentration gradient, then more of this component is transferred from gas film towards the liquid film. So in these kind of the system, you can see that here rate of the absorption of A depends mainly on the mass transfer resistances, because we said reaction is very slow, and if something is transferred from gaseous stream to the liquid stream, it will only depend on the mass transfer resistances inside these films. So earlier we studied somewhere this rate equation, and they were only for the physical system. So here for these system already equation which are provided in the final form to you. So in this equation, you can see that you are using this for slow reaction system, and inside the major resistances which are contributing are liquid and gaseous resistances. So then there is the second case. In the second case, here you can see that this is instantaneous reaction. Reaction is very fast. Instantaneous mean as soon as some of the solute molecule this approach the interface come in contact with the liquid, so it will quickly react with that. So you can see here that again this profile for this gas film remains same, that in the bulk its concentration is constant, and then inside the film its concentration will keep on decreasing. But you don't see anything of this component A on the film side, or sorry, liquid film side. The reason is because they are going to just react with each other when they will just come in contact A and B, and here A is completely lost, it is converted into some other component and it will lose its identity. Due to this reason we can't see any amount of A inside the liquid film. When you look at component B, which is part of the liquid stream, so its concentration now as compared to the previous case, you can see that its concentration is decreasing inside the liquid film from bulk towards the interface. The reason is when it comes close to the interface, it will keep on reacting with the component A and its concentration will be decreasing. So always here it is in like excess as compared to the gas molecule which you wanna like react. So due to this reason it didn't vanish, its concentration will be there inside the film, and you can see from the concentration line here its amount is higher as compared to this one. So just to provide excess amount of this component, so that all of the gas component which you want to react should react here with the liquid. So here majorly when you look at such kind of the cases, so only resistance for the mass transfer or for this reaction to take place is like resistance inside the mass transfer of component A to the liquid phase is the gaseous phase, because as soon as this component just cross the gas film, it will quickly react with the liquid film. It does not have to just pass through again liquid film to be included inside the bulk liquid. No, as it reach to the interface, it will quickly react with B. And due to this, here you can see that if you just compare this with the previous equation, so liquid mass transfer resistance just vanish inside this system. Due to this, he didn't mention here this one, as well as this Henry constant that is also related to the liquid stuff, and that is also like 0. So equation is further reduced, and it shows that it only depend on the here rate will only depend on the gas side mass transfer resistance. So the third case in which you can see here, if you observe, as we said, that this is intermediate reaction rate, this is not too fast, not too slow. So overall what will happen inside this, the concentration will change, but they are not sharp, they are just changing, I mean, like you can say somehow at the small pace as compared to these sharp changes, like here you can see in the previous cases. Overall concentration of definitely component A, it will keep on decreasing, but when you look at the component B, definitely it reacts, but it didn't react at the fast rate as in the previous case, so its concentration decreases but not that much. But here, as we said, that this is like intermediate reaction rate, so overall some of the component of A will react with the B at the interface, but some more will be reacting when it is just transferred to the liquid side. So overall, when you look at its equation for the rate, so it will contain like resistance on the liquid side as well as gas side as well as reaction rate resistance. So with this we have just concluded this chapter, and if you want to read more about this reaction system, again I will just tell you, if you are going to design such system and in which there is no physical absorption, you are dealing with a chemical, just refer to the book of Coulson and Richardson volume 2. There you can see more details, more equations, and about designing the system which are dealing with the chemical absorption. Thank you so much. So if you have any question, quickly let me know.
सर ये नेसेसरी है कि हमने अगर अमोनिया वाला लिक्विड लिया तो इरिवर्सिबल रिएक्शन ही होगा?
It depends on the solvent always. As I told you, for the this CO2 system, that if you are dealing with the CO2 and you are using NaOH, definitely that is irreversible. But if you are going to use CO2 and this is going to react with MEA, DEA, that is irreversible. Sorry, that is reversible reaction. But previous with NaOH, that is irreversible reaction. So it depends on your solvent, but